still. Most people die at 15, but we wait until 65 to bury them. As a kid, I witnessed the funeral of my baby cousin and remember the frantic electricity of my parents when we pulled up to the hospital to see what was going on. I don't remember getting out of the car. But the body was a sheepish blue, pale little face, closed baby doll eyelids, and I knew what was going on but didn't understand. Mom worked in medicine, so never hid anything from us, but it became abundantly clear that this was a serious matter when the adults told all the cousins to stop giggling from behind the pews. I walked up to see her, but I was afraid and intrigued by death. How can something be shed so quickly, end so indefinitely, if we were all so little, but we kept on living? What was it about us where we stood out of the casket? The element that we had that she didn't. Her last home was so tiny, and she looked even tinier in it. The church felt cold and quiet, and I imagined what she must have felt like if she could feel anything anymore. I didn't know what it meant to not be able to feel then, but I would find out much later in life. I remember it being warm when I think about her small grave. There were many tears and mention of angel wings, balloons in the air, and hugs that I had to give. This felt like a pain that was not mine to witness, but we were family, and that's how it is. When I lost my own son, I began to hear stories of other women in my family who lost others also. Women I had known all my life who bore more stress, legendary medical issues, and souls to be returned to heaven than children, but who never forgot the pain in that loss. It is easy to want to die because then every other type of pain we experience is forgotten so easily. There is a sentiment of rest in peace that we don't get in life, and thus the vicious cycle of wanting to die once again makes sense. I have tried at least 7 times. But when you are forced to die, then you topple over the pieces in your life that you put together. Eyes widen and mouths shrink, voices wither and skin changes. The smell of life altered and death rolls all together. Quickly, when you die, others feel themselves die with you. So at 65, I wonder how many times I will have died over and over. Maybe this is something to revisit when I get to this age. Perhaps now it feels a bit morbid, but there is a joy in being able to write about a universal experience for all ages and in the millions of ways that people understand. I think about all the other people that have had to be buried into the ground or stored in boxes and urns that lie around the house, in the ways that I continue to speak to people I love when other people try to tell me these people are gone. Between baby to broken down, there are layers of time where we have lived. I've never had to push the button that makes one transform from body to ash, but I think of 3 people I know who have. It is a type of bravery that I think we need more of, because then we really get to ask if we want to die and have the honor of sending them into another type of life. Dreams can be effective in death and don't always take place immediately. Instead, I am still beside the campfire with my uncle who died from stomach cancer and threw up black bile, apologetically, as I began to think of the words that would form in the letter I wrote for him that his longtime partner would eventually read when they were alone, and would end up in his hands when they placed him in the cold granite vault alongside the other veterans. I am still singing the version of Phantom of the Opera with my musical grandmother, who in the time I knew her was bound by her wheelchair, but managed to get around and would leave constant voicemails reminding us of her love and buying us candy when she herself could not afford to eat. In my thoughts and dreams, I am still a little girl abused by both of her sons, who finds solace in her laps as she reads me poetry and reminds me to hide behind corridors of light when shadow people want to run after me. I am still near the river with one of my great-grandmothers whom I never knew in life, but have always known in death, because my mother and grandmother refused to let her die, and eventually gave me a place in these women to call home and take care of. She is the person whose last name I took. Changed mine to be that name because we are both healers. Allows me to forgive myself on the mountain when I felt like my own greatest failure. I am still in a room filled with lots of people I don't know because I am here for a girl who bears my first name, who died in a way that I almost did, and that drains my mind when I am at the funeral because I am still on heavy medications and feel my emotions slip away to imagine what this would have been like if she had been me. I dream of the cries and screams of my brother and my friends and the difficulty they have in going up to see her because they could not carry the thought of remembering her that way now. That is how she is. I am still in the house of my other great-grandmother. The house had a mask by the front door that would often scare me. Dark hallways filled with ghosts, including the baby that she had lost. Her backyard will always feel like a sanctuary and warm, unlike the church where her service was held in. In the pews, I held my breath until I heard the choir sing, started weeping. My little eyes watched one of my uncles, and the only time I've ever seen him weeping, and the other stand from a distance under a tree at her burial because the loss of his mother was just too much for him. He always joked that he was her favorite, and she'd wave him away, but never fully said no. I am still in Mexico with a new family that was a big part of my mother's childhood, surrounded by people who aren't wailing, because many of us were there when she no longer was. The grave is glittered with floral arrangements of all shapes, colors, and sizes that once stood near her casket in the church that people slept by on inflatable beds and on hard pews. Such is a testament to Mexican love. The shapes of people moving in the church and in the graveyard. The colors of flowers fading in the sunshine. The sighs of Rosarito walking to the curbs to say goodbye as we drive by. I am still holding her hand in the living room, witnessing the last parts of her spirit leave this earth, just like everybody else. And somehow, I am still.